Welcome to Breakfast with Brian, discussions on strategy with RSM US LLP Managing Partner and CEO, Brian Becker. Today, Brian is in Schaumburg, Illinois, with Bea Gatebuke, Manager and CEO, Action for Racial Equity Fellow at RSM.
Hi, everyone, and good morning, Bea.
Good morning, Brian.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am a manager in consulting out of the Nashville office and currently serving as the CEO Action for Racial Equity Fellow.
Awesome. And we have a breakfast in front of us. Why don't you tell us about it?
So we are having a chapati with eggs this morning, and this is known in East Africa as the Rolex. And that's because you take the eggs and roll them into a chapati. And so not the watch, but, and if you say rolled eggs fast enough, it will sound like Rolex.
Okay, I was wondering about the watch thing. So, okay, cool.
Not the watch.
Cool.
Yeah, and this is the breakfast that my dad makes on some Sunday mornings whenever he wants to trick us into going to their house. He will say, oh, guess what I'm making this morning? I'm making chapatis and eggs, and we all show up, and he's usually delighted by that.
Oh, that's cool. That's special. Okay, let's give it a shot. Well, this is really good. Probably not as good as your dad's.
It's actually pretty good, yeah. I enjoyed it. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to finish and be right back. So, Bea, you're doing a very critical role for the firm. You're a manager in consulting, as you talked about, but now you're taking on a new role as a fellow for the CEO Action for Racial Equity. So maybe talk about what that is.
Yeah, the CEO Action for Racial Equity Fellowship is an important fellowship, especially as it relates to Black Americans, because the mission for the fellowship is to identify, develop, and promote scalable public policies as well as corporate engagement strategies to reduce systemic racism.
RSM has 4 fellows, and this is where you're focusing in on, right?
Yes. So we do have 3 other fellows in addition to myself. We have Erin Berry, who is sitting on education and opportunity. We have Alejandra Alanis, who is sitting on business diversity. And then we have Taylor Daisy, who is sitting on public safety. And so I sit on the economic empowerment platform. And within that, I'm on the community development and financial institutions solution team, also known as CDFIs. CDFIs are really important in really bringing about racial equity because they do provide services that are geared towards the underbanked and unbanked. CDFIs are mission-driven organizations, and really they are about community development. And so they provide the much-needed access to financial services for the underbanked and unbanked communities. You know, they assist with home ownership, financial literacy, small businesses. So if an individual wants to start a small business, they do have programs such as the IDA program, where someone can put some savings away and get some matching funds from a CDFI to be able to start a business or buy a home. And so they're critical in that sense. And just doing that work is really important because it will help empower economically Black Americans.
So access to capital and access period is important because I saw that there's a lot more banking in white neighborhoods than you'll ever find in Black neighborhoods. So maybe just talk about that access to capital and how important that is.
Our world is based on capital, right? So in order to buy a home, you have to have some capital. In order to start a business, you have to have some capital. But you wouldn't be able to do that if that capital is not accessible. There are neighborhoods, literally, where there's usually just one banking center within a neighborhood, and then you have to drive about 5 miles to get to another one. And that creates an issue because people don't necessarily want to do banking when it becomes inconvenient. And so if it's inconvenient, people aren't going to use those services.
Right.
And so the work is, how do we make that accessible? And within that, we expand economic opportunity for Black Americans.
And so you're taking that long road through policy, right? It's a long road, but a necessary road, because that's how you change the systemic part about it. So maybe talk about how you're going to impact policy.
So there's the CDFI fund, right, which was enacted in 1994. And those funds are specifically going to CDFIs. But within that, those funds may not be provided to CDFIs equitably. And so we advocate for that. We advocate for equitable funding disbursement. And so as we do that, we do it every year. We're actually in the process of writing a letter for the upcoming year that's really focused on that, to say, as you are dispersing the funds, please keep equity in mind and be able to provide that. But also, we are looking at corporations and saying, hey, you could provide a helping hand here. So one of the things that we've heard is that CDFIs are in need of technology. And so that's where we think, corporations can come in and assist with that. Because we do know once you have a problem and you give it to business leaders, they will find a way to resolve it. We are taking a look at that and seeing how we can work with corporations more to be able to empower CDFIs that need to get the funds where they need to be and make it accessible for Black Americans.
You took time away from your job. This isn't like a part-time deal. You're taking 2 years off to really focus on this on behalf of the firm and with all the other fellows. So what drove you to that? What made you think that you wanted to do that?
It wasn't an easy decision for me, but I knew that if I am to give my time, 2 years, to a cause, this would be it. And there are 2 reasons for that. The first reason is that having lived in America for the past 27 years, some policies, whether they're public policies or corporate policies, can really create barriers for Black people. Having that awareness and knowing that, I would want to work to try and make some changes within those policies. Now, policy takes a long time to change, but every little bit helps. So that's one reason. The other reason is that at the core of it, there are people's lives, that are impacted really by the inequities that exist. When you know people whose lives have been impacted, it really becomes almost like a calling. I have to go do this work so that I can help bring about the change that's needed.
So thanks, Bea. I just want you to know that we really appreciate you. I appreciate you, and I'm proud of you, and all of RSM is proud of you. This is important, critical work, and it's work that needs to be done. So thank you very much. And thanks to all of you for tuning in, and see you next time for Breakfast with Brian.